It's interesting. I'm thinking right now that you just said that, how this is kind of you, Matt. You're kind of a rare combination. I'm thinking about Plato in some of his dialogues, talking about the poets. And what Plato would say about the poets is that, they were really enticing, and they would, create beautiful poetry, beautiful music, and they would sound like they knew what they were talking about, but really it was kind of deceptive, because people would get drawn into listening to these poets and think they had a bunch of wisdom, but really all they knew how to do was speak in a beautiful way, produce art in a beautiful way. And then, people like Socrates would criticize them because, if you dig a little deeper, they really don't have much behind that. So I'm fascinated that, and amazed and appreciative that you are kind of combining these two aspects in your, like, not only are you making music, but that's actually flowing from substantive, like, wisdom and philosophical and theological reflection. So that's pretty cool.
And if I might add to that, Matt, when I first met you, one of the things that I was deeply attracted to, kind of what you do in your project and who you are, was the fact that, as Joey's pointing out, you're a seeker of truth. And that is very beautiful to see in a person that produces music, and a person that influences culture in a certain way, because we have so much production out there. We're constantly hit with social media influencers and all kinds of other productions, lacking that spirit, that what I would say an authentic creative spirit. So thank you for that.
That's actually, I appreciate that, you guys. That's something I've been kind of struggling with myself, because when I look at the landscape of artists now, the majority of it is filled with, like, degenerates, not to say that I'm not one. We're all wretched, right? But there's something about living in a life of sin that will show you reality for what it is, right? In the bad sense, right? Like, you're gonna come up against reality, and so sometimes the artistic expression that comes from that is actually authentic and true, and it speaks to something beautiful, but because they had to go through it in that negative sense. And so in my own creativity and trying to live a virtuous life and doing things like being a father of 5 children, it's like, do I need to go sell drugs to have an experience? Like, do I need to go down to the depths in order to understand reality? Or is there a different type of ascent that I can try to align my will and align my mind with something higher that'll give me a deeper insight as well, as opposed to hitting a brick wall and running into that yourself?
I was listening to somebody talk about Drake, the music producer, famous. You might know him. You know Drake? You ever heard of him? Okay. Yeah. So it was some interview he had, and he was mentioning how part of his kind of creative endeavor entails that he kind of separates himself from common living and goes to an environment that kind of fosters a certain spirit he's trying to infuse in his album, in his, whatever the case may be. And oftentimes that includes all kinds of crazy things, and that can, I think it speaks to what you're saying.
Bad things, crazy bad
like
things.
Crazy bad things, like certain promiscuous living, maybe some sort of rituals, I would imagine.
Right.
And you see, I remember when I watched Daniel Caeser live. He's an R&B kind of pop singer, and I remember watching him live, and he whipped out like a hyssop branch, right? And he lit it on fire, and he was kind of incensing the people.
Whoa.
And but I remember thinking to myself, like, when you get involved and when you try to kind of take hold of the creative spirit, if you will, by immersing yourself in this thing, it produces a certain atmosphere. It influences in a particular way. Whereas, as you're saying, you're kind of living kind of a juxtaposed position, not seeking those things. You're trying to seek a truly ritual life, a truly substantive life that is expressed, I think, through your music, hopefully.